Hey guys, welcome to the session on Microsoft Azure Virtual Machine from Wiculty. Today, we will be covering one of the fastest emerging and the second largest cloud technology in the market. As you guys know, in the recent scenarios, Microsoft Azure is one of the best and the leading cloud service provider in the market. Before we move towards details, let's go through the agenda for today. At first, we'll be covering what is virtual machine, what is Azure Virtual Machine, Azure Virtual Machine features, Azure Virtual Machine pricing, Azure Virtual Machine security. Let's get started with what is virtual machine. A VM, that is abbreviated as virtual machine, is the visualization of a computer program. Virtual machines are based on the design of computers and provide visual computer performance. Virtual machines designed to create computer programs on a private platform. As you guys get to know about what is virtual machine, let's talk about what is Azure Virtual Machine. Azure Virtual Machine is one of the several types of computer resources that are required and offered by Azure. Azure Virtual Machine provides developers the flexibility to see without buying and maintaining portable hardware running in it. A developer still needs to maintain a virtual machine by performing some tasks such as setting up, tagging, and installing the softwares that run on the virtual machine. As every good service provider provides great features, Azure also helps its users and developers with some great features which help in the workload more efficiently. Azure offers some great features in which there are four main features: data stability, data security, capacity management, function of four windows. If we talk about some great features, the priority comes towards stability of the data. Let's talk about what is data stability. When you use Azure Cloud Storage, your data is stored securely in secure locations that are run by Microsoft. Storage layer is used in the background by the services provided by Azure. Azure SQL Archive uses Azure Blob Storage to store the data. Now, if we talk about the second topmost priority of any cloud service provider, that is data security, and Microsoft is more focused towards it. DDoS, that is abbreviated as Distributed Denial Service. DDoS protection comes in when a DDoS attack is detected and reaches a certain predetermined limit. DDoS protection was introduced at virtual network level, which provides the same capabilities as standard DDoS protection, not at network level. Microsoft also comes with a great feature in Microsoft Azure as capacity management. Planning for energy storage is a time-consuming task. For many organizations, the burden is on the growth of descriptive data. Microsoft Azure offers a hybrid storage solution called Store Simple that helps address this challenge. Store Simple. Store Simple has built-in features that address all the latest business needs. It includes data storage, archiving, and the compression part. The last but not the least Microsoft Azure Virtual Machine feature, that is function of four windows. Azure Automation is a multifunctional solution that uses PowerShell at the backend to perform some complex operational tasks, both in the cloud and on the premises, using some agents called hybrid workers. The Microsoft Operation Management Suite, that is OMS, is a management as a service that provides a single view of the hybrid areas panel. As we have covered some great features of Azure Virtual Machine, let's focus towards its pricing. Azure Virtual Machine provides us with the flexibility of virtualization for a wide range of computer solutions with the support from Linux, Windows servers, SQL Server, and many more. Azure Virtual Machine pricing also comes with three types: virtual machine instances, spot price, and pay for service. Let's focus towards virtual machine instances. Azure Booking Virtual Machine event is the advanced purchase of a virtual machine in a particular area over 1 or 3 years. The commitment is made in advance, and as a reward, you will receive a 72% price savings compared to the previous price you pay. Reserved virtual machine events are flexible and easy to modify or reset. If we talk about spot price, buy unused computer capacity at a deep discount up to 90% of what you pay when you go with the prices. If the workload can tolerate interruptions and its operations time is flexible, then using virtual machine points will significantly reduce the cost of running your workload in Azure. It runs your workload on a virtual machine or virtual machine object system. If we talk about one of the best type of Azure virtual machine pricing, that is pay for service. Pay per second for computer capability without long-term commitment or low fees. Increase and decrease computational capacity as required. Start or stop at any time. Pay only for what you use. If we talk about the data security, Azure is more focused towards its services. Azure Active Directory. By using Azure Active Directory, we can control access to our virtual machines for various users or group of users. Users, groups, and the applications in that directory can manage resources for Azure subscriptions. The scope of the role assignments can be a subscription, source group, or a single service. Azure also comes with RBAC control, that is abbreviated as role based access control, in which we are having three types: owner, donor, and the reader. Owner: full access to all the resources including the right to transfer access to others, while donor is having create and manage all kinds of Azure resources but can't give to others and cannot provide any kind of access to them, while in case of reader it can view existing Azure resources. Microsoft Azure is more focused towards the security of the data and the safety of the users and the developers. Azure Safety Center. Azure Safety Center identifies the challenges of the virtual reality, repair, and the targeted security threats. It may include missing virtual machines, network security groups, unwritten disk, and the aggressive remote desktop protocols, in which we are having setup data collection, setup security policies, view virtual machine configuration lives, quick configuration problems, and view threats received. Now we got to know about what is virtual machine, its features, pricing, and the security. Let's deep dive into demo session. In this demo, we are going to learn how we can create a virtual machine in Microsoft Azure. The first step is to log in into your Azure account using your Azure account credentials. For creating a new virtual machine, we have to click on create a virtual machine, or we can also search here as a virtual machine. Once we click on virtual machine, you will be getting the same option as we can go it from here. When we click on virtual machine, you see there is no virtual machine, so we have to click on create and the virtual machines. Once we click on virtual machine, you see there is an option called create a virtual machine. In that basics option, we see that there is project details. Below that project details, we see that there is a option called subscription. In that subscription, it is showing that free trial. So because I am using the free trial account, so it is showing free trial, or you can also prefer to pay as you go pricing. And then we go through the resource group. As you can see, there is no resource group, no available items, so we have to go create our new resource group as a Wiculty. I'm giving my resource group name as Wiculty. Click on OK. When you click on OK, you can see there is a new resource group created as a Wiculty. For the instance details, virtual machine name, we have to, as it is mandatory, so we have to give our virtual machine name as Wiculty VM. And if you go through the region is East US, or you can use as of your region. For the availability option, no infrastructure redundancy required, or you can also availability zone, you can select availability set. So I'll be using no infrastructure redundancy required as my default option. For the image, Windows Server 2012 R2 Data Center Generation 1, or you can also use Windows Server 2019, Oracle Linux, 2019 Windows Server 2019 R2 Data Center Generation 2, or you can also use Windows Server 2019 R2 Data Center Generation 3, or you can also use Windows Server 2019 R2 Data Center Generation 4, or you can also use Windows Server 2019 R2 Data Center Generation 5, or you can also use Windows Server 2019 R2 Data Center Generation 6, or you can also use Windows Server 2019 R2 Data Center Generation 7, or you can also use Windows Server 2019 R2 Data Center Generation 8, or you can also use Windows Server 2019 R2 Data Center Generation 9, or you can also use Windows Server 2019 R2 Data Center Generation 10, or you can also use Windows Server 2019 R2 Data Center Generation 11, or you can also use Windows Server 2019 R2 Data Center Generation 12, or you can also use Windows Ubuntu server, it's of your choice. So I'll be using Windows Server 2012 R2 Data Center Generation 1. For the size option, I will be using the standard B1 MS 1 version CPU to 2 GB of RAM. This cost me around 1293 per month. Or you can see all other sizes as of now. So I'll be using the B series B1 MS general purpose version 1 CPU, 2 GB of RAM, 2 data disk and all. So I'll clicking on select, and after clicking on select I'll be giving my username as Samrat12 and password of my choice. You'll be giving the password as of your choice because the password cannot be shared with you. So for the public inbound ports, in the inbound port rules, we'll be using the public inbound ports as allowed selected ports, as it is selected by default. For in this select inbound ports, we are having 4 inbound ports as HTTP, HTTPS, SSH and the RDP 3389. So we'll be using RDP 3389, and after that we see that there is a licensing option. If you want to create a user virtual Windows server license, you can click on yes. So after that we proceed to next step as click on disk. Once we click on disk, we see here in the disk option, here's an option called OS disk type. In the OS disk type we are having 3 standard SSDs: premium SSD, standard SSD and the standard SDD. SDD is hard disk drive, so we'll be using HDD. For the SSE encryption type, we'll be using encryption at rest with a platform managed key. So rest of the things will be kept on default. You can click on also you can also click on advanced option, use manage disk. Okay, so now all our things that we have selected is okay. So we'll be moving to next step as click on networking. Once we go on networking, here is the network interface. In that network interface, here is option called virtual network. In that virtual network, we see that here is Wiculty VNet virtual network will be created as by default. So we'll be using that only. By in that subnet mask, subnet is a 10.0.0.0/24. For the public IP, Wiculty VM IP is created by default in the Azure portal, and you can see although that there is a public inbound ports as allowed selected ports and the select inbound ports as RDP 3389, which we have previously selected. So we'll be clicking on next option. We'll be moving towards the management option. In the management option, it is showing that your subscription is protected by Azure Security Center Basic Plan. In that monitoring boost diagnostic, you see that there is a enable with managed storage account that is recommended, so we'll be using that only. And you can also select the auto shutdown option, as you can give the shutdown time, and you can also select the time zone and the email. Once you click on this only, your virtual machine is shut down by its own. So we'll be moving towards the advanced option. Once you click on advanced option, is in the extensions menu, you can see that we have an option called select an extension to install. You can also select an extension, and you can also create for creating a Microsoft anti-malware. You can click on create. Once you click on create, the extension will open, and we can give the location, the file, and click on OK. So once you click on OK, the extension, that is Microsoft anti-malware, is created. So rest of the things will be on default, so we will be not changing anything. And the VM generation is generation 1, so we'll be clicking on that only. You can also select the generation 2, but I will be going through the generation 1. So click on text. Now we have to click create some text. So we'll be creating Wiculty 1 and the value as YTEY. You can also give your name as Samrat. I'll be using account name as XYZ. You can give you that tag name as of your choice. So we'll be using any application name as ABC. So once you have created all the text, so you can click on next review plus create. Once we click on next review plus create, you can see the options that you have selected, and as it is processing, so we have to wait for that. And the you can see here the validation is passed, and the product details, in the product details you can see that we are using standard B1 MS that is provided by Microsoft. So the subscription credits is around 1.7723 INR per hour. So these are the terms you can read, or after that we'll be seeing that the basics option that we have selected is the subscription is free trial, resource group is Wiculty, virtual machine name that we have given is Wiculty VM, and the region that we have selected is East US, and the availability option has no infrastructure redundancy required. The image that we have selected is Windows Server 2012 R2 data center generation 1, and the size is standard B1 MS, that is version 1 CPU, and the username that I have given is Samrat12. Public inbound ports as RDP, that is 3389, and the disk OS data type, disk type is standard SDD. And after that we have used managed disk, yes. And for the networking, the virtual network that will be created by default by the Microsoft Azure portal, Wiculty virtual network, and subnet is default 10.0.0.0/24, and the public IP is Wiculty VM IP. So in the management option, you can see that the Azure Security Center, that is basics, because it is all free. So Azure provides the security free. As we can also select the security options paid also. So after that, you can see the backup option that I have disabled. So it is showing, and the auto shutdown option that I have shown you can be turned off and can be used to turn off the virtual machine. In the extension, I have installed the Microsoft anti-malware, so it is showing, and the text that I have used is Wiculty 1 and all. So I have created 5 new texts. So these all are the texts that are showing. So after that, we'll be clicking on create. Once you click on create, it will take some time to create a virtual machine. So you can see in the notification bar, it is showing the submitting the deployment template for resource group Wiculty. Yeah, you can see the deployment is in process. Here you can see also the start time. If we talk about the start time, it is showing that the time is the date is 9 July, and the time is 3:44 p.m. and here you can see also the correlation ID, and the subscription that we have used is free trial, so it is showing free trial. You can also use the pay as you go pricing, so it will show here as pay as you go if you are using that only. So if we talk about the resource group, we have chosen the resource group as Wiculty, so it is showing Wiculty. And if we talk about the Wiculty VNet NSG, Wiculty VM IP, so it is showing status as OK. Wiculty VM 154, it is showing, yeah, it is created. So it will take some time to create the resource group. And we can also click on inputs. In the input option, you can see that things that we have selected is showing East US, and the network interface name as Wiculty VM 154, network security group name as Wiculty VM NSG. In the subnet name, it is showing default, and the address that is /16, and the virtual network name as Wiculty VNet. And if we talk about the public IP address name, it is showing as Wiculty VM IP, and the public address type is of dynamic. So we'll be checking once more that our virtual machine is created or not. Yeah, it is showing that deployment is in process. You can also see that Wiculty VM is created. We have to wait for, and we can also click on operation details. If we click on operation details, you can see that the provisioning state has succeeded. Timestamp is this. It takes around 25 seconds to create. So we'll be waiting, and you can see that there are around five new resource groups that we are created. Wiculty VM IP, if we go through that only, you can see that is showing resource group as Wiculty, location this, the subscription ID is this, SKU basics, and the tier is regional. IP address is 40.71.72.17, and it's associated to Wiculty VM 154. You can also go through the Wiculty VM NSG. Click on Wiculty VM NSG. You can see that it is associated with 0 subnets, 1 network interface, custom security rule as 1 inbound, and because we have chosen the RDP 3389 as inbound, and you can see that the inbound security RDP. Yeah, after that, the Wiculty VM is also created, so we'll be waiting for the deployment to get successful. So you can see that the resource group is Wiculty, status is running because our virtual machine is running. So subscription ID is this, and the subscription is free trial. Operating system that we are using is Windows, and the size that we have selected is a standard V1MS, and the public IP address is 40.71.72.17, and the virtual network subnet is default, and the virtual network is of Wiculty VNet. So if we look towards the DNS name, it is non-configured. So you can check the computer name as Wiculty VM, operating system as Windows, VM generation is version 1, so Azure status not ready. So networking, if we look towards the public IP address, it is showing this, and the private IP address is 10.0.0.4. DNS name as we have to configure that, and the disk is Wiculty VM OS disk, and the data disk that we haven't selected is because because it's showing 0. If you look towards the capabilities, Azure policy security, we have around seven capabilities: Azure policy security, backup, data disaster recovery, guest plus host updates, auto shutdown. Because we haven't selected the our virtual machine to be on auto shutdown, so it's showing not configured, and we haven't also selected the backup, so it's showing not configured. And for insights, it's showing that enable logs and detailed monitoring capabilities. You can also click on monitoring. You can see that how our CPU is taking, and the network for the disk bytes disk operations, because it's not showing because of our virtual machine is being created. It's showing its deployment is in process. For the Microsoft anti-malware Windows is showing because we have installed a extension. In the deployment details, you can see that Wiculty VM /IAS anti-malware, where IAS stands for infrastructure as a service. So in that infrastructure as a service, you can see that IAS anti-malware, Wiculty VM /anti IAS anti-malware. In the resource type, we can see that Windows compute /virtual machine /extension. Here's in that notification, we see that our deployment is succeeded, and our virtual machine is created. So you can also download from here, and we see that around 6 resource groups have been created. So for we can also create another virtual machine, or you can go to resource group and you can check those resource group. For checking that our virtual machine is created or not, we can click on virtual machines. You can see that previously we don't have any virtual machine here, and now we have created Wiculty VM as a virtual machine, so it is showing Wiculty VM as virtual machine. The subscription is a free trial, and the resource group as Wiculty. So as status is running, and our public IP address is 40.71.72.17, and the disk size is one that we are using. Click on Wiculty VM. Once we click on Wiculty VM, it shows us the public IP address, the virtual network slash subnet, and the DNS name is not configured because we haven't configured yet, and the rest of the things that we have showed you. And you can also click on stop to stop your virtual machine. Do you want to reserve the public IP address? No, I don't want. So click on OK. If you want to reserve the public IP address, so you have to select that and click on OK. So once you click on stop, so stopping virtual machine, the notification it shows the and stopping virtual machine Wiculty VM, because a virtual machine named as Wiculty VM, so it is showing. So we have to wait because it takes some time to stop our virtual machine. So once you click on stopping virtual machine, it will be taking some time, so we have to wait for that. Yeah, it's showing that status is deallocating, and once the once the virtual machine is stopped, so it shows status as deallocated. So we have to wait for that only, as you can see that the process is going on. So it will take some time to stop the virtual machine. Yeah, stop deallocated. Let's talk about the key takeaways from the session. In this session, we talked about what is virtual machine, Azure Virtual Machine, Azure Virtual Machine features, its pricing, and the Azure Virtual Machine security. And in the end, we have gone through the demo session in which we got to know about how we can create a virtual machine in Azure portal. Hope you guys have enjoyed the session. We'll meet you in the next session with some more information on Microsoft Azure. Thank you.